As a child, what genuinely terrified you? I was terrified that I would look up and see someone staring at me through a window when I was alone at night. I had many nightmares that involved someone taunting me through windows and trying to get in the house, and I would have to run around hiding from them and barricading the doors and windows. I still get them sometimes, but it was a frequent thing from about 7 to 14. Also, they always had a creepy smile on their face while they were looking at me, and damn, psyche, why? I had a dream like that too. Only it was the person was on the deck and had no face. That was just your neighbor Terry. Oh yeah, I forgot about him because he's always in his basement doing weird experiments. I used to lay in bed at night and realize that one day I would be dead and no longer exist. And now I'm having an existential crisis. No worries, one day it will become a non-existential crisis. I was terrified of teachers. I ended up being an excellent student because I would pay utmost attention until but complete everything on time, score top marks. All this because I was terrified of them scolding me. I'm terrified of male authority figures, not cops, but principals and supervisors, mostly due to my stepdad. I was petrified of men when I was little, which was so weird as all the men in my life were great. I remember crying whenever I saw my granddad, who I was really close to. When I hit my teens and early 20s, I became petrified of women. I think I'm just a really nervous person when it comes to any authority. The dark. Be honest, I'm still afraid from dark. Me too. I feel like I shouldn't be too. I also am scared of the dark, but I was told something that changed my view on it. Living alone. I'm not afraid of the dark, I'm afraid of something joining me in the dark. When you hear random sounds like a crinkled up, empty bottle in the dark is the absolute worst. Aside from that, the worst thing that I hear in the dark is a guitar string breaking for seemingly no reason. I would randomly get it into my head that the end of the world was going to happen. Something along the lines of the rapture or some sort of apocalypse. There'd be nights when I'd stay up and just wait for the end to come because I was somehow so convinced that it was 100% happening. Hello sir, have you heard of this amazing thing called anxiety? Quicksand. Oh yes, as a kid I thought quicksand was going to be everywhere. It's like it was all over the media in the 90s. Automatic toilets. Ugh, so loud. It's so unexpected. It's like quiet flushing, then suddenly FMMM. Being in any well-lit room with uncovered windows after dark, especially if in unfamiliar neighborhoods, because of the snipers who could easily target me from their perches outside, obviously. Crackling radio pedo alpha, this is molester bravo. I have eyes on Sanzi. Confirmed bravo. Target status. Target is retrieving a bag of chips. Over. Understood bravo. You have permission to molest. Over. Copy all. Molester bravo. Going dark. Apostrophe. I don't know why, but for some reason I was terrified of fried potato skins. I think this is my favorite. Mirrors. I was always terrified something would come out from the other side, or worse, my reflection will come to get me. I distinctly remember that I would shower and always keep an eye on the mirror, just to make sure nothing was coming through the gateway. I'm still sometimes freaked out that I'm going to see something terrifying behind me in the mirror. I'm a 30-year-old man. That my dog would get taken by a dog catcher. In kids movies the dog catcher is always the bad guy. I live in Mexico. I have that nightmare daily. Dogs are often stolen on gunpoint to breed/sell them. Open bracket. What do you think the percentages of the dog being stolen on 10 walks? My uncle. I'm sorry. I hope you've come to terms with him since, or cut him out of your life. We don't know what happened, maybe he just thought his uncle was creepy or something. Chickens. I can still vividly remember my grandpa's rooster chasing me around the farm when I wasn't much taller than it was. It was terrifying at the time, lol. Ah. So you're the protagonist of Harvest Moon, Back to Nature. Not making it home before the street lights came on. Not only was it like the main rule of life during childhood. But I was very convinced it was an arrestable offense to be out after the street lights came on. As in, the street lights come on, but you're still a block and a half from home. So cops instantaneously come out in swarms to surround you and put you in the back of a cop car. An arrestable offense, so, like having the light on in the car when you were driving at night. I know this is late, but that's not actually illegal at all, right? Like it was just an elaborate scheme that literally every parent ever collaborated on to make kids think they were breaking the law when they lost something in their car. Right? Right. Or am I just a smooth brain? Not illegal, but it does make it harder to see out. Teenagers. I truly had a phobia of them. I learned at a young age how little self-control they had. I was so afraid of them and what they might do. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me. They could care less as long as someone'll bleed. Real talk. Teenagers scared me and still kinda do. Even as a teen they did. I was bullied a lot, so I knew how cruel my peers could be. They always seemed to rove in packs and on bicycles and always wanted to cause trouble. I was constantly aware that I have no way of escaping or fighting back if they wanted to make a little entertainment out of me. Even now when I hear teenagers or children laugh, part of me bottoms they are laughing at me. I had a driving phobia for a short period. Every time I got into a vehicle I thought we were going to die, lol. Especially when my older brother had his learner's permit and did ride along with them, lol. My cousin died on the road 2 months ago. Someone changed lanes inappropriately and there was no time to react. The coroner said every bone in his body was broken. The fear is entirely justified. You ducking pay attention. When I was younger I was deathly afraid of clowns until my dad took me to this type of amusement park that turns Halloween themed in October. Around my birthday, obviously they had scary clowns and zombies everywhere, so I stayed as close to my dad as possible. But as the night went on I started to see the same clowns over and over again, and they started recognizing me and waving because they noticed I was scared, and I realized they were just regular people, and ever since I haven't been afraid of clowns. AWW. Yay to the actors. Glad you overcame it. The year 2000. I was terrified about it. I would get super anxious about it whenever it came up. My mom bought me a shirt with a spaceship and it had a 2000 on it. I would not wear the shirt cause it would be a constant reminder of its impending doom. You were just 20 years too early. For real. Programmers were wrong with Y2K. 2012 was wrong by the Mayans. Everyone thought they would get perfect vision and hindsight clarity with 20/20. Here we are. Loud noises. Hated the lawnmower. I lived in a part of the world where hunting wasn't uncommon, and whenever I heard gunshots I was convinced it was some kind of giant machine coming. I also coincidentally watched the film 9 when this started. I used to butt too many gunshot I heard, especially in a town or city, or anywhere with houses nearby. Was someone shooting another person? I'd get a little anxiety over it, wondering if they'd run to where I stayed to hide or break in. I was scared that the floor would disappear and I would fall to my death. I had hypnic jerk back then, so I was convinced that feeling would show up at any time. I deal with hypnagogic hallucinations when I'm overly tired, usually auditory. I've heard my name called out clear as day and I usually jerk awake when it happens too. Most of the time it's a white noise sound that repeats, and as it does, it gets both faster and louder until it wrenches me awake. Very unpleasant. My parents were religious and told me the prayer, if I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. The idea of it horrified me. I didn't want to be accepting of someone taking my soul in my sleep. I refused to say it. My grandma tried to get me to say this prayer when I'd stay the night at her house, and it made me really uncomfortable. Like, you can die in your sleep? I hadn't considered it before. When I had a stroke at 15, I asked a neurologist what was in place to stop that happening to someone while they were asleep. He was all oh, nothing at all, and went about his day like he hadn't struck the fear of an unforeseeable death into a teenager. Going to sleep. If it was raining out, I thought I would drown when the water reached my windows. Oh, that sucks. I loved, and still love, taking naps when it was raining out, especially when there's thunder. Same. I freaking love thunders. I think it has something to do with my fear of someone trying to get into the house. Like, what idiot will try to do it during a storm? Also because I like some constant noise while I'm trying to fall asleep. That way it's not too quiet and I don't hear any random quiet sounds that my brain can't explain. That my mother was going to leave me and take off with any man she met. Mind you, my mother and stepfather have been married since I was 2, but this feeling began when I was around 4. If she talked to any man, be it my babysitter's 18-year-old son or her best friend's 40-year-old husband, I would worry incessantly that she would take off with the guy and leave me. It faded with time and age, but I occasionally wonder where that came from in my little brain. I mean, my mother actually did that. First was planning on going to the US. Didn't work out. Went to New Zealand. So yeah, I don't blame young you for fearing that. The number 0. Oddly enough. Fascinating. How come? It's nothing. Sleeping away from my family. I didn't stay over at a friend's house successfully until I was in the 5th grade. Same. Not being accepted into heaven when I die. My closet. I choose this guy's closet, too. The THX sound freaking terrified me. I was scared of any logo that had a lack of light or a strange concept in it. Like the pixel lamp looking towards the camera and the light around it disappearing. Or DreamWorks' Boy on the Moon just being there. Now that I think about it, I was scared by most logos. I was even scared by the Disney castle. Not just the 3D animated one with beautiful lighting and fireworks and music, but also the old one with a plain blue background. That shot was just unnerving to me. What the duck, little me. Being kidnapped. My parents have always been extremely overprotective, and as a little girl they always told me to never ever leave their side, so whenever I was without them my heart would beat incredibly fast, and I'd pray to not get kidnapped. I was pretty traumatized by all the things they kept making up. It was quite wrong of them. Sounds like the beginning of Tangled. My parents are very much like Rapunzel's mother. Oh, that sucks. Chucky. My dad let me watch Child's Play with him when I was 3. I would have a panic attack whenever I saw those damn Chucky dolls at Spencer's. Horses. Darkness. Seriously, I remember 5-year myself. Left home alone with all doors closed. Parents went to their jobs. Sister went to school and it was 7 p.m. I remember I was feeling some kind of anxiety. Watching TV. Then lights shut off. Damn. Twilight. Silence and I. Sitting alone in big room felt so terrifying. I started crying. Fortunately 10 minutes after it parents came back. When my sister was little. Maybe 3 or 4 years old. She accidentally got herself trapped in my mum's closet. We couldn't find her anywhere and we were calling and calling for her. Eventually my mom decided to check the closets and found her there. I think someone must have walked by and turned the closet light off, not knowing she was playing in there, and she just froze. She was so afraid she just completely locked up and couldn't move until someone came to find her. I'm still not a huge fan, but the dark is so scary when you're a kid. I remember loving the dark as a child. I was a little lurker and found dark, quiet spaces soothing and calm. I always sought out the velvety dark in any room. Even when we visited friends and family, anywhere there was a shadowy nook or cranny, thither I would go. I loved shutting away in my closet, at the very back, on a pile of pillowy comforters, listening to the muffled sounds of the house from my dark, little cozy nest. Vampires. This was before vampires were all glammed out and made to be seemingly cool. There was just Dracula, who was evil and terrifying. IKR. I was never the same after that SpongeBob episode. Lightning and thunder. It's funny because I didn't fear them as a kid, but I do now. When they are close they are really unsettling. Now they are music for me. I love them. A music that give adrenaline rush. My mom used to tell me, if I don't be a good boy then I will be kidnapped by some unknown person. Mom's was not a great person. Nuclear war. Still scares me. I was deathly afraid a budding smoker would throw out a cigarette butt and it would somehow light large enough that you would definitely notice a fire before it got to the house. Lawn on fire, and it would spread to the house. I couldn't sleep due to the anxiety, so I took to being a voracious night reader to calm my nerves. Nothing could burn our house down if I was awake and vigilant, no matter how deeply invested I was in a story at the time. Those holes in the curb for sewer drainage. I had so many nightmares about those things. We all float down here. Poltergeist. I saw it at my neighbor's house when I was definitely too young for it. Nightmare City. Whenever curtains or blinds weren't drawn at night in my house as a kid, I was always worried that Frankenstein's monster would just appear and be staring at me. If I'd see that I have a complete view out of a window or cupboard door, I would run from one end of the room to the other, avoiding eye contact with the exposed door/window as much as possible. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you want more videos don't forget to like and subscribe. You are helping me a lot. Thanks again.